Well, here we go, part 2, probably your favorite part of this video. It'll all be on the oils. Now, from now on, in order to save time, I'm going to give you the botanical name, the note, the part of the plant that's used, and what it smells like. I'm going to show that on the screen. Meanwhile, I will be talking behind the screen of all the different things, all my stories and any information that I want to tell you about that particular oil. Now in this demo, I'm using chemical constituents to show you some of the big differences in the oils. Now, these are 3 different oils. This is eucalyptus, lavender, and chamomile. Now, all of these are chamomile, all of these are lavender, all of these are eucalyptus. But if you check to see the colors, each one of those colors means that that particular oil is doing something totally different. So that's why the botanical name on each one is very important when you're going to purchase or figure out if that's the particular oil that you do want to use. Now, the percentage of the chemical constituents could vary very easily. So this is not a true or accurate percentage because it all depends on where it was grown, what country, what were the soil, and was the climate change good at that time, and what was the pesticides that they used, was it grown organically or not, when and how was it packaged and how was it processed. And then I've got a little story about when I used to sell, there was this product of cream that a woman used to buy from me all the time. It was very expensive, and this one time she brought it back, and I just ordered it in, just brought it in, brand new product, and she brought it back and said, "There's something wrong with it. It's a different color. Doesn't look right." So I phoned the company, and they said, "Oh no, that product is really good. In fact, they had a very good climate that year, and the flowers were doing really well, and the flowers had a brighter color. So it changed the whole color of the product, and that's just from the climate change." Now we'll go through some of the chemical constituents, and don't forget all the percentages. They can change with the climate, how they're grown, where, and all that, like I just explained earlier. But now I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you what some of the colors mean. Like the pink here, and any of the pinks, that means that it's stimulating and uplifting to the nervous system, and it may be calming to the system. Now anytime you see the blue is relaxing and healing to the nervous system and calming to the nervous system. Anytime you see the yellow, that means it's stimulating to the system. The orange is stimulating to the system and good for the respiratory. The green here, that's stimulating to the system and good for the respiratory as well. And the purple one here. Now this one here is aldehydes, and they're calming to the system and they lower blood pressure. So if you've got low blood pressure, this would be one that you would not want to use. But if you had high blood pressure, this one here would be very beneficial for you. Then we have the ketones. Ketones are these ones here, the light blue. And ketones are the ones that they're calming, they're sedative, they're uplifting. But you don't want any oil that has too much of this, because what ketones do is they build up in your body. So if you use them for a prolonged period of time, you could run into big problems. So stay away from anything with lots of ketones. I chose bergamot because it is photosensitive or phototoxic to the human skin, and should not be used if you are going to be exposed to UV, that means ultraviolet light. Essential oils can be very dangerous, and here's why. The bergamot warnings are, it can be photosensitive and do not use during pregnancy, and they may irritate sensitive skin. Now, the way it was explained to me is it has the ability to collect rays from the sun, and then without warning, all of a sudden you could be covered in blisters, and by then it's already too late. The damage is done. Now, in this next case, it was using bergamot. This woman rubbed on undiluted bergamot onto her arms and legs, and 15 minutes later she had a shower and thought she had removed the bergamot. Then she took a 20-minute sauna bed treatment. Now, burns developed over the next 48 hours, resulting in her getting admitted to the hospital for 7 days. The skin on her arms and legs were a roasted appearance, and there was blisters as large as 10 centimeters. And 10 centimeters is this big. So 10 centimeters is quite a bit of a burn. Bergamot was used in Earl Grey tea, most likely for its uplifting effect on the emotions and its digestive properties. It's also useful for anorexia because of the property to increase your appetite. I chose this oil because camphor is a dangerous oil if used incorrectly. It's absorbed through the skin and mucous membranes very fast. It contains ketones, which can do damage to your liver, so you should not use it for prolonged periods of time. The white camphor is the one that's used because the brown and the yellow may cause cancer. I have found discrepancies in the note. 2 said it is a middle and the others said it's a base. Out of the 8 books only, 4 had information on the camphor oil. And then the other discrepancies is that there is a warning not to use for asthma, yet a different book says it helps for breathing. Now here I want to show you what 1 ounce looks like. So this is 1 ounce, and 1 ounce is 30 cc's. Now there is a penny, and there's how much 1 ounce is. And this bottle here, with that little amount, is 1 ml. And there's a penny so that you could kind of tell what 1 ml looks like. It's that green liquid that's in there. That is how much 1 ml is. Now this is 1/4 of a teaspoon, this line right here, and when I turn it around on this other side, this line here says 1 1/4 ml. That's how little 1 1/4 ml is. Now here's chamomile. All 3 are chamomile. But look at the botanical name, and even this one. This was chamomile Moroccan, this is chamomile Roman, this is chamomile German. Now look at all this one here. This is stimulating and uplifting to the system, and maybe calming to the system. So look at the percentage here, look at the percentage here. Now this one here is got a whole pile of esters, and that means that it's very relaxing and healing to the nervous system and calming to the system. This one here is calming to the nervous system and balancing to the body, and then you've got stimulating to the system, and then you've got stimulating and uplifting. So if you want to be really stimulated, good one to get. So just to give you an idea, the difference. Now for the chamomile Moroccan one, I will not go too much into it because it is not really used for healing as much as the German and the Roman chamomile. A big difference between the Roman chamomile and the German chamomile is in color. The Roman chamomile it doesn't have much of a color, but the German one has a color of blue. So that's one difference. Now this is a good time to introduce the mask. Very important when you're working with a lot of oils. I'll give you another story later, but with chamomile, because of the effects, I would use a mask. So to show you the chamomile Roman, I will put it onto. Okay, now here is a drop. One drop of the Roman. You can see it's kind of clear, doesn't have much color. Now I will put a drop of the German and look at the difference. So it's not just the smell. Big difference in color. Roman and German. My own personal story about the sedative effects of the chamomile was when I was working for the Canadian Institute of Natural Health and Healing. We had a store, and I was in the front, and the order came in for the essential oils, and one bottle, of course it had to be the chamomile, was spilled inside the shipment box with all the rest of the essential oils. So there was just a little bit that got out, but by the time I had finished unpacking all the bottles, got all the packing out, I was already feeling the effects pretty bad, and the smell had traveled all through the walls. I don't know how it got into the classroom, but the instructor came out and said that what was going on. She says all the students couldn't stay awake. They were all falling asleep. So this was in the middle of winter, and it was cold out. And we had to open all the windows and the doors to let some air in because we all had difficulty trying to stay awake. Now with clary sage, it has properties that help the nervous system by being a powerful relaxant. This oil is useful for women with uterine contraction, missing periods, or increase the flow. This is where that, if you look in the properties, it's got that emagogue. That means that that it increases the blood. So if you've got blood problems, like if your blood is really thin or if you really bleed, this would be one oil that you should really stay away from. I use this one in a menopausal formula because it helps with the sweating, and I also use this with some of the other essential oils to make up a midlife crisis blend. It really smells nice in some of the preparations. Now I chose eucalyptus because there's many of them, and I will show you a little demo a little later on. Okay, now here is eucalyptus. There's about 700 species of eucalyptus. This one here, I'm only going to show you a little bit about 5 of them. Now again, this one here is very good for lowering blood pressure. But if you've got low blood pressure, you would not want to use this one. It's also calming to the nervous system. Now this one here, look at all of the ketones. This one here you'd want to stay away from because of like that is a tremendous amount of ketones, and ketones are the ones that build up in your body, and you definitely do not use those for a prolonged period of time. Now this one here is stimulating, this one here is stimulating, this one here is more stimulating than this one. This one here is the one that I studied, and the one that I'll be giving you more information for in the rest of this video. So that just kind of gives you an idea. These are all eucalyptus, every one of these. But look at the difference in each oil. You'll be able to tell by some of the properties and some of the uses exactly why the food and drug companies use it so much in their medications and in their cough drops. Now it's really, really good for their respiratory system. I've used this for itching from mosquito bites and other skin eruptions, even shingles. I've used eucalyptus oil in cleaning products and furniture polishes and compresses. I've even used it in air fresheners and diffusers. You see, if there's a cold or a flu going around, I'll put just a few drops of essential oil into just some water and let it sit in the room. And when the room fills up with that scent of eucalyptus, then you know that you're protected. And that's protecting you from viruses and bacteria. Now, frankincense is a very common one, and I chose this one because, guess what? There's no warnings on this one. You've heard of frankincense with the 3 wise men that were carrying gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Frankincense in those days was considered very precious. In the Bible, frankincense was said to be given to Mary and Jesus to help with the birthing and injuries and for hemorrhaging. And because of its healing properties on wounds. Frankincense is a bit more expensive than eucalyptus or lavender, but it is affordable. I use frankincense in preparations where it's for healing wounds or things like that because it has cell regeneration properties. Now here again is geranium, and there is another one called geranium Egyptian, which smells nicer, but it doesn't have the healing benefits that this geranium does, so you have to watch the botanical name. Now geranium has analgesic and antispasmodic properties which helps with calming of the nervous system, so it's good for reducing stress and anxiety and depression. It's been used to balance hormones. It's a diuretic. It's been used with kidney stones, and it's also excellent for eliminating waste and congestion. So I use this one in my stress blends because it's calming to the nervous system, and I like the smell of it. I chose lavender because it is such a popular oil. It can be applied neat, which means you can put it on directly without a carrier oil. This oil has been used to take stings out. It helps for irritation. It prevents infection, and it helps to heal really well. And it also enhances other essential oils. Now here we have lavender. There's about 39 species of lavenders. And this one here is not called lavender, it's called lavandin, but look at the botanical name. Isn't that close? Lavandula, lavandula, lavandula. So again, you have to really pay attention to the name and the botanical name. Now again, we have pink here. Pink meaning that it's alcohols which is stimulating and uplifting to the nervous system. And then you've got all this blue here, which is calming to the system. And then this one here actually has ketones. Look at those ketones. Look at this ketone. So this would be one that you wouldn't want to use for very long. And same with this one, because of the ketones. Ketones are the ones that can build up in your body. So yes, they could do good, but not for a prolonged time, because they will build up and not be very good for your body later. So again, I hope that shows you what some of the differences are. Now, in the 1920s, there was a Dr. Gattaz. I will put his name on the screen so that you'll be able to see him. He is a French scientist, and this is how lavender actually got discovered. He seriously burned his hand and his arm, and he put it into a vat of lavender, which he had laying around there. It healed very rapidly, without infection or apparent scarring. He discovered that the pure essential oil had a better antiseptic property than any of the chemical antiseptics available at that time. So he wrote a book and was responsible for the term essential oil. And he called the system that uses essential oils for healing aromatherapy. Because he was working with in the perfume business at the time. And that's how lavender got so popular. See, he was a scientist, chemist, and he documented everything. I have used lavender on burns so many times, and it just works fantastic. I have burnt myself so bad sometimes that I thought I'd have a scar for the rest of my life. And I just put pure lavender on the burn, and it helps to stop the burn from hurting, and you can almost watch it heal. It works so well. So I can't speak highly enough of lavender. This is one of the few oils that I would really recommend, and I have that in my medicine cabinet all the time. I'm never without lavender oil. It's really good for the nervous system, but you have to really watch, because the opposite could happen if you use it in large doses. So you have to really kind of be careful with lavender as well. Now here is lemon oil. Now you'll find out why this is such a good and popular one. It takes about 30,000 lemons to produce 1 kilo of lemon oil. And studies show that lemon oil sprayed relieves depression of patients. The Egyptians used it as an antidote to food poisoning, which is why I usually try to use a piece of lemon whenever I go to a restaurant, because it does seem to work. It's calming and clarifying for the nervous system, aids digestion, and it's good for skin problems. And it also has the ability to, or been known to, dissolve gallstones. When applied as a compress, it has the properties to reduce the temperature, and also has the ability to counteract acidity in the body. I use lemon oil in so many different things, like massage, for furniture polish, soap, shampoos, face creams, and diffusers. And I also just put a few drops into the laundry, and that kills the bacteria and makes the clothes smell nice. You see, lemon oil is a top note, so that means that it doesn't last very long. So about 6 months after you open up the oil, it starts to lose its therapeutic value. So then it's really good in clothes and soaps and things like that, just for the smell. Now, in case 1, a woman has a sauna bath. Only a few drops of lemon essential oil is placed in a pot in the sauna. She then immediately goes and has the sunbed treatment for 20 minutes. She received minor burns to her arm and leg from that. Now here we have marjoram. There's two different kinds, or a few different kinds that I know of. The marjoram sweet is the one that I'll be telling about, but there's also a marjoram Spanish, which doesn't have half of the therapeutic values and the uses that marjoram sweet does. So here you go for the marjoram sweet. Marjoram has a very calming effect on the nervous system because it has a tranquilizing action. It helps with deep emotional traumas, grief and loneliness. And the Greeks used to use it as an antidote to poisons and to help with digestion. Now, marjoram is used in steam inhalation, so it eases the respiratory difficulties rather quickly. But it does have a sedative effect, so you have to watch, and it dulls the senses. And what that means is, this is not only, it's not in the contraindication list, but dulling the senses means that if you're in a relationship or in a marriage, it could make making love very difficult because you just don't feel like it. Now, myrrh is one of the oils that was mentioned in the Bible. The three wise men are the ones who carried gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And myrrh is the one that was given to Mary to help her with the birthing of Jesus. Now, with myrrh, it's made out of a resin, which makes it very thick. So this one you really need to see. Now, take a look at how thick that is. It was used by the food and drug companies in many brands of toothpaste as one of the ingredients because it has the healing of gums and mouth ulcers. Myrrh is excellent for skin conditions, especially slow to heal wounds. It's good for cracked and chapped skin or weepy skin. Now, neroli oil is one of my favorite oils to use. I just love this one. It's an absolute oil, which means that a solvent was used to